You're listening to Birds Coast to Coast. Here's your host, John Clark and Tanner Riddle.
I love listening to that and seeing everyone's reaction to that intro. John's losing it down there. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for coming in, guys. This is Birds Coast to Coast, episode 22. Can't believe we've done 22 of these things. As we wrapped up last week's AFC North divisional rundown, we're moving on to the AFC North this week. And bringing in our correspondent of the week, we have a good friend from college, one of our old intramural football buddies, John Shaffer. Give a quick little round of applause for John, everyone. All right, cool. John, we are... Yeah! Oh, my God. No, I didn't know we had that on the soundboard. That was actually perfect. Thanks, Tanner. Wonderful producing.
It's a little delayed.
That's great. No, we need more of those soundboard noises. Those are great. So John is a lifelong Ravens fan, and he's here to kind of talk us through the workings of the AFC North. And John, could you give us a little bit more about, yourself, how you became a Ravens fan, and why you decided to join us today?
Well, thanks, guys, for having me. Tanner and John, you guys are the best. I was born in Baltimore, and so I remember just growing up. I love the city of Baltimore. That's a big part of my upbringing, and some of my earliest childhood memories was actually going to Orioles games at Camden Yards, and that just opened up as well. And so very well-known ballpark. Everyone wants to go there, and just my love for sports started there. And then the Ravens came into town in '96 after I think it was like a 13-year hiatus after they used to be the Baltimore Colts. There was no football in Baltimore. And as I got older, it's like, well, I'm an Orioles fan. I was born in Baltimore. It makes perfect sense to be a Ravens fan. And so I really started to dive into the team like 03, 04, and just fell in love with that squad with Ray Lewis, of course, my all-time favorite player, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, and just the defensive-minded team that they were. It was just a wondrous time to watch those guys. And we just fell in love with the team, basically. And my first game, I actually still have the ticket stub. Cool. It was January 2nd, 2005. It was against the Miami Dolphins. And the rest is history. And I've been a diehard Ravens fan ever since.
That's cool. You got the ticket stub all the way back from 2005.
Right.
Do you remember how that game went? Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember. In fact, sometimes I go back and we'll watch the highlights thinking like, oh my gosh, it's been over 20 years. So yes, Baltimore won. But I do remember the very first play, like, this is my first Ravens game. I can't believe it. And then the Dolphins scored on like a 60-something yard touchdown pass to open the game. I'm like, all right, well, that's a start. But we end up winning the game. And it was just an awesome experience. And so the rest is history. And I've been diehard Baltimore ever since.
So Tanner, would you like to tell us a little background on how we met John?
Yeah. So, we kind of all had different upbringings, at least growing up, but we all met up in college at ECU. And so I was studying accounting. John, what were you doing marketing? I can't quite remember. What were you doing?
I was marketing and supply chain management.
You were? Okay. But we met in a finance class. And so just to avoid confusion, since
I thought it was
technically
English. I don't remember.
Was it English?
Wait, don't tell me we've always been wrong this entire time.
I don't know if we've ever said it to you before. I've always referred to you as Finance John when I'm talking to this John. Like if you look at our text messages, I'm like, hey, you want to actually invite Finance John to the podcast for the AFC North? Like you've always been Finance John. This is hilarious.
Well, I think we needed each other to get through finance, and so maybe that's where the
oh my gosh,
yeah.
Wow, you're English, John. I didn't even.
Well, no, you did not need my help in English. I think we needed each other in finance, and so that's probably where Finance John came from. But hey, man,
it's always worked.
Oh,
this is funny. So yeah, we met in a finance class or English class or somewhere at ECU. It was a business class, I'll say that. Business John. And yeah, I think I brought you over to the apartment one time, introduced you to my John, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of sports is like
A lot of
it's a
John.
great it's a great conversation starter. Like you don't really need to know too much about someone, but if you're a sports fan, you can probably like talk about your team and just talk about what the league and whatever sport you're talking about and hold a good conversation.
It's a community. Like,
Mhm.
I was talking to my wife about it. She's not that big into sports, but like she is always amazed when like I see a guy wearing a random jersey and I'm just like a guy wearing a Vikings jersey and I'll be like, dude, Justin Jefferson, man, he's great on fantasy. You know what I mean? And they'll be like, yeah, dude, Justin Jefferson's awesome. Just that connection of like commonalities that like
It's a shared language.
it's a shared language that bridges, like race, gender, politics, religion, like any sort of like differences that a person can have. We all come together and just watch football and enjoy this game together. I truly think that's like honestly like a beautiful thing. Like in the time where like there's so many dividing factors where we all come together and have that, like Tanner said, that shared language and shared I guess communal feeling. It's really cool. And that's how people get brought together. Like, like Tanner said, like you strike up a conversation with someone and 70-75% of what you're about to talk about, as long as you can hold your own. And I feel like all three of us can hold our own to the point to where we feel comfortable talking about it with each other. That's why I love it.
Yes, I
You knew
totally
nothing
agree with
about
that.
that guy. You knew nothing about that guy, but you knew exactly what he does on Sundays.
Yes.
Exactly, exactly. I couldn't agree more. I with sports and even I would throw in music as well. Like go to a concert or sports, you can put your life behind for a few hours and just enjoy the atmosphere and run into somebody you've never met before, and you can learn a lot about someone. And it was really cool because a couple years ago the NFL draft came to Detroit, and so there were so many different people from all these different teams that they rooted for, and all in Detroit. And
Did you go?
yeah, I went the first night. So
What was
that
it
was
like?
it was really cool. There was this one guy. He was like, "Hey, I want to take a picture of you because I want to get a picture of everyone from every single team of a fan. I'm like, can we take a picture?" So I felt like a celebrity for like 5 seconds. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, we could take a picture." So I that was awesome. But yeah, it was really cool to see like Detroit being completely flooded with people. Detroit, I think they said that Detroit got like $210 million in revenue from that,
Whoa. Oh my
I
god.
believe
from
it.
those 3 nights. And so, but more importantly, Detroit, it was good to see Detroit in a good light. I think that the similarities between Detroit and Baltimore are both get unfair reps. I love Baltimore, and Detroit has filled a void, with not having my Ravens and O's around, living up here in Michigan. And Detroit's a really cool city. And just to see Detroit on the national stage, everyone's like, "Hey, this looks really, really cool." So it was just an amazing experience. So we went the first night, got to meet some people, that had some awesome events going on, and it was just really cool to see Detroit be in the center of the NFL universe.
All right. Well, again, thanks for hopping on with us, John. I mean, it's been forever and far too long for us to chat again. But so I guess there's no easy way to segue to this. But John, I must tell you something.
Uh-oh.
We have had to discuss one player an insane amount of times in these 22 episodes. This player's name has been brought up to the point of ad nauseum to definitely Tanner, and at this point, me, and probably our listeners. And I am so glad to have to be done with talking about this player after this episode. I am so happy to be done talking about this player.
Don't lie. We'll talk about him again.
No, I'm done. I promise. No, hand him across my heart. Unless it is completely related to what the Eagles are doing, I am not going to talk about AJ Brown anymore after this podcast. I'm done. I'm swearing off of him. I am done. Listen, for weeks, for months, me and Tanner have argued. Well, what's he going to get traded for? I don't know. I would say a first and a second because Howie Roseman made it very clear he wants a first and a second. It was a high ball offer, okay? It was very clear from the very beginning that Howie wanted a first, and he highballed, okay? He got a first and a fifth, and I'm happy with that. I was fearing that it was going to be like a conditional 1 or a conditional 2 or a 2 that can become a 1 or something based on yardage. I hate those, okay? Because you have to watch and pay attention. I just want that first pick and be done with him, okay? Now, he has been playing in our faces for the past 2 years, 3 years, okay? This is coming from a fan base who had to suffer through the trauma of T.O. and Donovan McNabb, with T.O. doing crunches on the driveway, Andy Reid telling him to leave training camp in the middle of August.
I remember that. Yes,
and
you're
then
right.
he fractured our locker room, and it sent the team down a spiral. They didn't recover for 2 years, and now it's happening again. And there were so many people for so many months who said, "We're not trading AJ Brown. He's not that like that. He's not like that. He's not that big of a dividing force." And it turns out all of those rumors, all of those things were true. And you have never seen a fan base switch up on a player as fast as you've seen these AJ supporters. Now they're all AJ haters. All right. And part of me was like, well, maybe I'm just sad. I'm sad to see him go. Now I'm mad, okay? Because yesterday was all about trade comp. What did we get back? Was it fair? Do you think he's worth it? Now, guys, I got some audio that I want to play today, all right? And I feel like it's pretty important to hear. I want you guys to listen to this, okay? First off, this is him with a sit-down interview. There was so much issue about Jalen Hurts' and A.J. Brown's relationship. When A.J. Brown got traded to Philadelphia, it was made clear that A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts were great friends, best friends. A.J. Brown was with his daughter, okay? Jalen Hurts was the godfather of A.J. Brown's daughter, okay? And complete 100% great friendship. After 3 years of playing together, Jalen Hurts gave him back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons, career highs, and first and second in franchise history in receiving yards, okay? I want that to be noted. For all the people who think Jalen Hurts sucks and he can't throw him the ball, A.J. Brown had 1,400 yards, franchise record. Next year, 1,400 yards, second best in franchise history. Both career highs. All I hear on Twitter, on ESPN, on the radio, is that Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball and that Jalen Hurts can't get A.J. Brown the ball. Then why did he put up 1,400 yards? Why did those 1,400 yards happen two back-to-back years? Why is A.J. Brown currently ninth in only 4 years in Philadelphia Eagles receiving yard history as in a career? It doesn't make any sense. And then the last 2 years, he doesn't get the ball as much. Saquon Barkley shows up. They run the ball a little bit. And now all of a sudden, A.J. Brown starts piping up, starts saying, "You ain't really using me, but using me." Oh, look on the sidelines. He's reading a book. He must be frustrated. He read a book, John. He read a book on the sideline like this while we were playing a playoff game.
I saw that.
A playoff game. And people were like, "Oh, he's just trying to stay focused." That's not normal. No, it's insane, okay? And everyone, and I was listening to the radio today, and I have been listening. It's like, it's like when you have, those things that start to bother people and at the beginning of the friendship or relations. Oh, that's great. But then you start noticing all these little tiny things, and now it becomes a bigger issue. All these little things looking back were insane. Last year he went on a stream and said, "Oh, you should just get rid of me on fantasy football." All right. Meanwhile, year before that, he goes on, "Oh, what's the problem with the offense? The passing game. Another shot at the quarterback." He's supposed to be Jalen Hurts' best friend. So now all this is prefacing to this report or this sit-down interview, all right, with Maria Taylor, because everyone want to know what's the deal with him and Jalen. That's all we want to know. Why are they upset? Why is he not like Jalen anymore? Because 5 years ago, he said, "Well, if you're going to go and trade Jalen, you may as well trade me too." This is the level he loved Jalen, and this is what he said.
One thing I hope we can put to bed, or you can speak to once and maybe not have to again, is the relationship with Jalen Hurts. Because that seemed to become just a central point of focus and tension towards the end of your tenure as an Eagle. How would you describe your relationship right now?
Not as close as we once were. And I believe that's fine. It's like there's no bad blood.
What do you mean there's no bad blood?
There's actually still a lot of love. I love him.
A lot of love?
I want him to succeed and accomplish all the things that he wants to accomplish. I didn't truly understand why our friendship became the public of the center of everybody's attention when it came to football, because, you know, looking back on it, you know, we haven't been as close as we were a couple years now, but that didn't stop anything.
They didn't want it to be the center of the attention. He made it the center of attention. When he got traded, it was literally on draft night. Him and Jalen faced up. Yo, what's up, dude? Hey, yo, you're my guy. Yo, that's all they talked about with how friend. He wore a Jalen Hurts t-shirt on the first day of training camp. He loved Hurts. He made it a part of that. Okay, and then the interview continues. Again, the day after they trade him, to the Patriots, all this offseason, he has been very silent. The only thing he appeared on was a Patriots podcast hosted by Gronk and Julian Edelman, where he winked after they said at the end, "Hey, AJ, don't forget, we're all Patriots." And then AJ winked in the camera like this. And this was 3 months ago. 3 months ago. He's still on the Eagles, okay? And this is what he said about the Patriots and what's like being on the Patriots now.
I have a real question. When did we get this rug right here? Where did this come from?
They're discussing a rug, a Patriots rug.
But definitely a few years now. It's been here for a while.
They're at his
You were
house.
an Eagle, you had this rug in your house?
Absolutely.
You got to tell me why.
You know, some things just never change. You know, this is my team. This is my team since I was a kid. So it didn't matter. I mean, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing as an Eagle, but this is it.
Okay, listen, we're gonna get to this chapter, the Patriot chapter.
And then, at the end of practice today, after showing off his new stupid number 1 jersey and his one-handed catch that he definitely could have two-handed, and all that public fanfare, he goes up in front of everyone and says this. As soon as I pull it up, let me just go ahead and pull this up real quick, because this was very annoying to hear as well. It is A.J. Brown discussing this, his new home.
You know, I'm trying to adjust, and walking up the hill with the uniform on, I was like, man, this is real, and caught myself one point in practice wasn't paying attention because I was like, hey, I'm a Patriot,
Yeah.
And just trying to take it all in as much as I can. Obviously, I got back to work quickly, but it's levels to it, and like I said, I'm enjoying it. It's obviously, I know this ain't heaven, but it's close to it. When you guys had just talking to,
I know this ain't heaven, but it's close to it. The body's still warm. It's not even cold yet. We just traded you, dude. This would be like if you got out of a relationship, and then you post on line the next day with a new person and said, "This guy's great. I love this guy." What is he do? Tone deaf, idiotic. We sent him to the location that he wanted to go. And then he decided to be like, "Oh, this ain't heaven, but it's close to it." He had a Super Bowl in Philly. He had career high yards in Philly. He had Pro Bowls in Philly. And he made it all about himself at every turn, at every choice. He had an opportunity to make it either about the team or himself. He made it about himself every single time. I wanted to be indifferent. Well, as a footballer, it's whatever. It's good comp. It's insufferable. I'm so glad he's off the team. He is so frustrating. I feel so bad for Jalen that he had to put up with this kind of nonsense for 4 years. When you hear that last phrase, that last little bit, do you think it's out of bounds to say something like that a day after being traded? Or do you think that's like totally fair? What do you think?
Is this like the consensus thought in Philly? Like, are you representing everyone, or are you like on your own on this?
No, we're all PO'd, dude. This is a very
okay. Well, this is sad. Like,
Why?
y'all are so soft.
Why?
Okay, so you had a really good 4-year run, right?
Yeah.
Super Bowl win. What, playoffs every single year. A lot of production from him. You traded a first and a third for him at the time, and you get back a first and a fifth. Like, what's the real damage here? I don't get it.
The damage? He made
like emotional damage. Like, why are we so like? Sometimes you just runs come to an end. DeAndre Hopkins was very productive for us for 3 years, and it just timelines didn't match up.
Did DeAndre
like
Hopkins?
let's not act like the Eagles have to make a lot. No, hold on. The Eagles have to make a lot of decisions coming up because they have a lot of good young players. Let's not act like tough decisions weren't going to have to be made. In one way or another, A.J. Brown kind of helped you make a decision without having to just like let Jalen Carter walk, without having to have, tenuous negotiations with Cooper DeJean on if he's actually a safety versus slot corner and he's going to fight saying he's an outside corner. Like, something was going to have to get done. The Eagles had been pushing money down the road for a while, and they had no cap space flexibility. They had already pushed all of their potential money down. Essentially, he didn't just walk. And it's not like you just got nothing out of this. You essentially got
the quotes. You didn't address the.
That's fine. You grew up an Eagles fan. Like, if you got drafted by the Cowboys and you were successful, but at the end of the day, you knew, like, this ain't really my team.
What other player does that, Tanner? What other player does that?
I'm sure a lot of them do. Well, but what's the damage here?
I don't care about the it's not about the actual transaction.
You're letting him win. You're proving his point. You are proving his point.
And the effect he's had on this fan base, who he's been this entire time. In fact, 2 years ago, it was suggested that we should trade A.J. Brown. He got so PO'd that he called up the radio station. He's like, I would never get traded. I would never. This is my home. And all of a sudden, he's acting behind the scenes trying to get it to the Patriots the whole time.
For Philly sports, to say, my feelings, what you said to me, it hurts. It's affected my play, my fandom. Like, for a Philly sports fan, to get upset about what someone else says about him.
He's soft. He's soft because every little thing that because he didn't get his way, then he starts pouting on the sideline. He starts half-assing routes. He starts dropping passes. Don't tell me that we're getting soft. We're just demanding a player try their all and demand their best, and he didn't do that last year.
Sounded like he was very productive, and there was a lot of winning.
He wasn't. Well, we were super force-fed. We were force-feeding him the ball because he was turning into a little baby about not getting the ball. That's literally what happened. And then the year before that, Brandon Graham had to literally publicly go on air on radio and say, look, 1 is trying. 11 could do better at this relationship, this issue. It has been stated so many times that A.J. Brown has been the problem. And so many people have been just so blind, like, oh, no, I don't want to hear it. And now finally it's coming to fruition. It's like, yes, he wanted to be on the Patriots. He complained, and he made it a problem until Howie just said, you know what, whatever, go to the Patriots. We'll get what we can for you, and we're glad you were here for 4 years. And I get it's a business, and Tanner, you're right. At some point, there was some financial decisions that just had to be made. Push came to shove. Maybe A.J. Brown made it easier for Howie Roseman. But I don't care about that. What I care about is all the little things that led up to it that were his doing, his decisions. He didn't have to go on the Patriots podcast. He didn't have to go tell his agent to go find teams in the combine. He didn't have to go read a book on the sideline. He didn't have to go yell at Jalen Hurts while we were winning by 20 in a playoff game against the Giants because he wasn't.
That's my point.
That's all.
It's one bad year. It's 1 year where he was a little bit of a diva. So what?
Year?
Totally. Yeah. Y'all just won the Super Bowl.
2022 is when he yelled at Jalen Hurts in the playoffs up 20.
Oh, no. Poor Jalen. I don't know how he recovered from that. It's not like he recovered just fine.
To the media for 9 weeks because he didn't feel like he had anything nice to say to the media. Ooh, boo hoo. And then 2024, it's the whole like, oh well, I'm not, 2024 was the Brandon Graham thing, like I just mentioned, where they had to go like hash it out. And that's when Saquon Barkley got here, and all of a sudden we're running the ball, and AJ Brown's like, my targets are down, I'm mad, man. Right? So like that's literally what happened, and I'm frustrated. Okay, and then he goes after having an amazing career here, and then he goes and says, well, this ain't heaven, but it's close. Screw you, AJ. Screw you. You left heaven. You left heaven. You left everything that you could have asked for in your. You torpedoed your Hall of Fame career. He did. He could have stayed on the Eagles, became an Eagles Hall of Fame legend, and at least got into the Eagles Hall of Fame. That ain't happening now, and he's definitely not getting in the Hall of Fame. So I'm so upset. I'm glad we got a first-round pick out of this. I liked him as a player at the beginning. He's a great player, probably the second best receiver I've seen since T.O. But all of those things, I wanted to believe that they weren't diva things. They were diva things, and it ended up being the things that ended up costing us at the end. So,
Shaffer, let me ask you. You love your home, Baltimore, right?
Of course.
And have you enjoyed your time? Are you excited about your future with Detroit?
Yes, as of now, my wife and I have really enjoyed our time here in Michigan.
what are you getting at?
How dare you disrespect Baltimore? Wow. That's what I'm hearing from John. He's not allowed to be excited. I'm totally joking.
Disrespect? What?
AJ Brown can't be excited about joining his childhood dream or his team he grew up watching without it being.
I see where you're going with this.
Tanner. How many?
Without it
Every
being
player
disrespectful
has
for
a
Philly.
childhood team. Every player does, but no one makes it like their goal to fight and claw to get to that team.
You don't know that.
What are you? Then where's all the other press conferences saying that? Where?
Players are always excited about joining teams.
No, I understand that, but like that's not what AJ Brown took it a little too far.
John, did AJ Brown make those almost heaven comments today when he got traded? These were today's comments. Well,
thank you, John. Thank you. Isn't that a little sour taste? Just a little like. We didn't want him traded. He forced his way out.
You just got traded. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So you got to be careful what you wish for. You might just get it. Just from the outside looking in, AJ Brown's got to understand when you bring in a guy like Saquon Barkley, you're not going to throw the ball 60 times. You're not going to be a pass-happy team. You're going to be a balanced team, as you should. You got a guy like Saquon Barkley, who is a stud. You're going to run the ball. Jalen Hurts can run it. And then that also, the run game, complements the pass game. So just from the outside looking in on this, it seemed like, kind of think of this as an analogy, it sounds like it's like AJ Brown was Woody in Toy Story, and all of a sudden Buzz Lightyear comes in, and he takes a little bit of his shine and his attention, and then he can't adjust to the new times, and he doesn't know how to handle it. But he was such a good complementary piece for you guys. You had Devontae Smith as your speedy receiver, AJ Brown was your physical guy, and then you take the weight off your shoulders with Saquon running the ball. I think AJ Brown couldn't look at the bigger picture just from the outside looking in, and like I said before, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. So we'll see what happens.
I 100% agree with that. I think that is fair analysis. I'm just criticizing if that's a representative of the Eagles fan base. I think that's just really soft. I think it's, it's in the past. You got what you want. Like, you would do that trade, a first and a third, that what you traded for him in the beginning, you'd do that 100 times.
But here's the thing.
If you told me this was a 4-year relationship, 4 playoff appearances, a Super Bowl victory, a super productive player, and you essentially get to recoup the draft compensation that you traded for him, you would have done that 100 times. You get an A+ for that deal, and you move on.
I don't care about that. What I care about, because
You have to, no, you care. If you just cut him.
He forced his way out, Tanner. He decided this. He didn't have to leave.
He didn't, but he did.
Make him leave.
No, but you're not like, it's not like you walk away with nothing.
Tanner, if Larry Fitzgerald pulled this crap in the middle of like his year 29 season and say he was like I don't know, let's just say a Viking. Oh, you know what? A Vikings fan. That'd be great. You know what? Hey, the Cardinals aren't doing anything. I could go to Minnesota where my dad had a career out there. Yes. You know what? And I think the Cardinals, hey, it was a great run with Arizona. But this is Larry Fitzgerald's childhood team,
You're missing a huge component. How was the team success? Like, there would have been frustration of like, geez, like, we're not, like, clearly what we're doing is not working. We might want to blow it up. Like, it's not like I'm losing something. Like, let me rephrase that because that's going to sound crazy. It's not like we had all this team success and then Fitz is just here going to blow it up. Like, that feels like a huge part of this.
What it feels after that 2015 Carson Palmer year. Fitz still had some years after that.
He did ask for a lot of money after that, which did kind of lead to losing. We lost Calais Campbell, and I was like, oh, that's kind of that.
Here's the funny thing about that, and not just that. This isn't even a money thing. Typically, like when receivers have like a holdout or they want to trade, they want a new contract. We re-signed him last year, and he got like top 5 receiver money. We gave this man everything he wanted: wins, stats, targets, prime time, Super Bowls, playoffs, all pros, everything this man wanted, and it still wasn't enough. How is that not frustrating?
Because you're not leaving empty-handed. I think you got pretty good compensation for him, and we feel like we still have a good we have a good foundation. We love us some Devontae Smith. He's totally worth being a wide receiver 1 on a good team. We're not leaving empty-handed. And it was just it's not like he's doing you a favor by saying, hey, I know we're going to have to make tough decisions. I volunteer, like, send me away. I understand that's not the case, but there is a reality of like tough decisions we're going to have to be made. I just feel like we're getting like our panties in a wad here. Like, oh no, like, okay.
Tanner.
2 weeks ago, we did the schedule release prediction show. And what did we predict the Eagles to go, John? How many wins?
14-3.
14? That sounds pretty good to me. Does that really sound like you got screwed? And that was with knowing, I know in my head, I'm picking this based on A.J. Brown not being on this team. You're fine. You are fine.
Situation.
In 2028, when draft season comes along, I don't want to hear a single complaint about you having 2 first-round picks. I want you to only talk about the 1 pick you have that you earned. Don't ever mention the Patriots pick. Don't get excited. Don't tell me about any of the possibilities of, wow, look at this really good player that we might pick in the top 20. Don't talk about that because you are complaining now.
No, there's a difference.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, I think 2 things can be true because Tanner is responding from a logical standpoint. Yeah, the fact you got a first-round pick.
Tip it right now.
The fact you got a first-round pick from a guy who wanted to get out. Usually when a guy wants to get out and they sabotage the organization, you try to get them out as soon as possible and try to find whatever deal. The fact you got a first round for him, and I think you got another pick, correct?
Yeah, first rounder. Yeah. And I love it.
You got a first rounder for a guy who did not want to be there anymore. Yay. On the flip side, I can understand the emotions from John that this guy just couldn't see the forest through the trees, or it's hard to see the forest through the trees. It's like, again, you got this balanced attack, you got weapons all around, and just A.J. Brown came across as like, I'm not getting my targets. Me, I. Instead of saying, hey, I'm on a great team. I've got a great quarterback in Jalen Hurts. I've got help on the back end. I got help on the side. So again, we'll see what happens with him in New England. He may he may not like being the one guy on an island on his own. Maybe because I don't know whether receivers are going to help him, or again, I think Eagles have better overall weapons than the Patriots do. I just think that AJ Brown is just being one dimensional and not seeing the bigger picture. So, but I can understand from your emotional side of things that, hey, we did all this for you, and you want to throw us under the bus and say this is almost heaven when you got there an hour ago.
Thank you.
Yeah, it comes across as a little like ungrateful, unthankful, or ungrateful, and it that can probably sting a bit. That would sting me. I'd have a Michael Jordan Last Dance moment. Like, I took that personally, and so I can see it from that perspective as well. So
he's not calling you Michael Jordan. Don't get too excited.
Wait.
Yeah, what I will say is, in a perfect world, when you win a Super Bowl, maybe that post the day after the Super Bowl is going to be like, this is what I've always dreamed of, accomplishing something with a bunch of my friends like this is awesome. Instead, he did say, wow, this actually didn't feel the way I thought it would.
Yeah,
what really gets me motivated is dominating my one-on-one matchup, not team success. Like, that's that's not in the playbook of, hey, being a good teammate 101 or being a good team player 101. I get that. I really do. I'm just saying, what did it really, like, you sound like you were so, like, burned and you are scarred for life. You got an extra first-round pick, and you think you're going to win 14 games next year. And I'm just asking you, what did you really lose here?
We lost the opportunity to have an Eagles legend finish his career and be the best receiver in Eagles history, and he threw it away. At this rate, he would have been the all-time Eagles leading receiver in many categories. He could have been literally the best Eagles receiver in franchise history.
And that's worth, like, throwing a fit over?
I'm sorry, if you here. I don't know if there's pride over there in the desert, but we have a lot of pride about our franchise, and we have players who have so much success and then just decide, never mind. Yeah, that kind of burns a little bit, Tanner. A little bit burns.
Sorry, I'm a Cardinals fan. I love Larry Fitzgerald. Amazing. Larry Legend, he's the best in the franchise. Agreed. I wouldn't mind. Like, I would trade some victories. Like, I'm sorry. I at the end of the day, I'm here for I'm a Cardinals fan now, and he's not on the team.
Well, apparently it wasn't enough for AJ. So
it's not enough. But you know what? Your 2 Super Bowls and your 4 playoff victory, like, that's not enough for you.
We're good, man. Hey, we're good.
No, you're not good anymore. You guys are about to have the first overall pick next year. You're going to win, 2 games maybe? Like,
so you're lumping the team situation in with this situation.
Because you didn't get screwed.
Situation as a microcosm.
Where did you lose?
It's not about the team winning or losing.
It's not about.
We lost.
Do what?
We lost a good player.
And you got good compensation for him. It's a fair deal. Given the leverage that the Patriots gave up, they had all the leverage. Again, he's a great player. I do think he's worth a first and maybe a fifth. Given the situation, you should not have got that. What other teams were there that were in the market? There was no reason for them to do this.
I'm not arguing compensation. I think the compensation's fair. I think
that's a huge part of it.
It is, but I think
you didn't give them for free.
It's not the what. It's the how it happened.
Yes.
It's the how it happened.
Well, does it happen if it didn't happen the way it did?
It's probably not that they traded him. It's how AJ Brown conducted himself. Ungrateful, kind of like, bye, see ya, grateful to be out of here, instead of being like, hey, I won a Super Bowl title. I'm thankful for the Eagles, actually getting me out of a bad situation in Tennessee, and
he was the coach,
exactly. And so
he's going back.
I think he's going to be fine with Drake May. I think Drake's a good quarterback, but we'll see. Sometimes you go to a new team and it just doesn't go the way you think it will.
John, thank you for being the voice of reason. You
oh my gosh, that's pathetic.
Really saved this debate, because me and Tanner literally would have went into a circle until the end of time. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest, because I've been holding on to that. As much as I thought I've been talking about AJ Brown, I think that was kind of the release of like emotions I needed. So I think I'm ready to kind of put that behind me. Thanks, guys. And now I'm ready to talk about the AFC North, because that's why John's here. That's why we're here. We're birds coast to coast, and we're going to talk about the AFC North.
But first,
Triple bird.
AJ Brown.
No, I'm done. All right. All right. So, John, the way we do these divisional wrap-ups is we like to talk a little bit about how the season went last year, talk about how the offseason's going, and then at the end, we're going to make a bold prediction after we talked about all 4 teams. We're going to make a bold prediction about an AFC North prediction. It doesn't have to be about the Ravens. It doesn't have to be about one specific team, but it can be just one thing. Like, for example, last week, Tanner said that the Jets could fight for a 3rd playoff spot, like something it's like, oh, wow, like that could, maybe happen, and
I appreciate that reaction.
And my bold prediction was that AJ Brown will have less than 700 receiving yards next year. I was full that. But anyways, so let's start off with your Ravens, man. So how did the season wrap up last year? How do you think it went? And what do you think the offseason has been like for you guys?
I mean, I know you've asked me to talk about the Ravens season, but do we really have to talk about the Ravens season?
We do.
We have to. In my 20 plus years of Ravens football love, that was probably one of the more frustrating, difficult seasons I've had as a fan. Sometimes we overperform, and sometimes we underperform. This was probably one of the more frustrating seasons I've had as a Ravens fan, because we always seem to snatch defeat in the jaws of victory. We were our own worst enemy for the entire season. I had the opportunity to go to the Ravens-Bills game, that first game of the season.
That's cool.
It was very cool at the old stadium. And we try to go to an away game at least once per year. And Buffalo is only a 4-hour drive from where we're at in Michigan.
And it was week 1, so it's not freezing.
No, it's not. It was a solid 60 degrees. I think it got as cool as like 50, but it was a nice warm 50. I was still in my short sleeves and the jeans, and it was great in Buffalo. That's actually a really cool town with Bills Mafia, and being 20 minutes from Niagara Falls. That was an awesome experience to explore that. Funny enough, the day after the game, I ran into. Do you guys remember Todd Heap?
Yeah,
for the Ravens. Yeah. I ran into him at Niagara Falls.
So, that's cool.
Yeah, so we had a nice little 1-2 minute conversation. Didn't want to bother him too much, but I was just walking down the side of Ontario, and I was like, "It's Todd Heap." I knew he was in the area because there was like usually the Ravens have like a fan gathering or team fan travel, and they usually have a legend too. And I saw, Todd Heap is going to be there. We didn't get a chance to go to that, but I knew he'd be around the area, and so I just ran into Todd Heap, and it was awesome. Cool guy, very cool guy. We got a picture together. It was amazing. So when I talked to Laura, my wife, and I said, if it looks like we're going to play the Bills this year, can we do the Bills game? And she's like, okay, anything October or earlier we can do. After that, no. I'm like, fair enough. So we ended up being the first game of the season. So we got to go to the game, and I loved it until the final 5 minutes when the Ravens decided to say, here you go, Buffalo, win it. Just win it. And we lost on the last second field goal.
Insane game. I totally remember why, because it was a Sunday night game.
Correct.
Right? Like these are the non-flex games, so they're like, oh, this is like an AFC championship game preview. Like NBC paid a lot of money for this game. I totally remember why. You're up like 15 with like 5 minutes left.
Thanks,
and you have maybe the best 1-2 duo. Like, what do you want to do when you have a lead late? Probably want to run the ball, right?
Yep.
What better duo than Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson?
Thanks, Tanner.
Like, come on. And so, yeah, I know. I totally remember that game. That was brutal.
It was like the one thing you can't do, you do. So, Tyler Loop, great first game. He misses an extra point, which makes it a 15-point game and then a 16-point game. And then Derrick Henry fumbles the ball. and then you don't get that first down. Then you punt it back to Josh Allen, and who's the one quarterback you don't want to have the ball with time left is Josh Allen. They march down the field, boom, 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 field goal wins the game. So it's just like the one thing you didn't want to happen, you allow to happen. And so the irony in that game I went to was it was kind of a prerequisite for the season, because so many times the Ravens would overthink it or do the one thing you shouldn't do and you do. Like against the Patriots, we're up by 10, 11 points in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. You don't give the ball to Derrick Henry one time. You don't play your conservative ground and pound run game. Yeah, don't be obvious, but don't overthink it either. You know, that game came to mind, like that one slipped through, and it was just it just seemed like Baltimore just were their own worst enemy. And then finally the final game of the season against Pittsburgh, you know, it came down to the kick, and Tyler Loop had a phenomenal rookie season, big shoes to fill with Tucker being gone, and picked the worst time to miss his worst kick. And so, but Loop had a great rookie season. I don't hold any ill will towards the guy. I mean, there are so many things that Baltimore could have done better, and we could have closed the Steelers before that kick, and we didn't do it. So, you know, it was just a really frustrating season as a Ravens fan, which explains the changes that have happened.
You mentioned that week 1 loss kind of set the tone for the entire year. Wasn't there another early season like brutal loss? Was it to the Lions?
No, I mean,
or was that the year before?
No, it wasn't to the Lions. We didn't play the Lions.
Okay.
That year. If you guys don't mind, I can check the schedule.
No, go for it. This didn't feel like the Ravens that I'm used to. When I think of the Ravens, I think of like the rosters, just good depth, always got a solid defense. Obviously, Lamar on offense is giving you something that that literally no one's ever had before, but specifically the Ravens. It's just
we did play the Lions. Yeah, that's right. Okay. We played the Lions on Monday night.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to say like that game, it felt like what the Lions did to you. It's kind of what like they ravened you, if that's a verb.
Yeah,
it was weird to see. It was weird to see the Ravens get kind of bullied, and that's where I was like, okay, this isn't the same Ravens that I'm used to.
Yeah, I guess I didn't want to remember that game because at work I had to wear Honolulu blue the next day. My coworker got me a nice Lions
that's right.
And I had to wear Lions gear for the entire day, and I had to sing the Lions fight song in front of everybody. And so maybe that's why I forgot about that game, because I was trying to forget about that game. So,
see, that's real trauma, not what we were talking about earlier. Exactly. That's real trauma.
So it just time and time again, the Ravens got off to a bad start. I think we started 1-5 for the season. Then we had to crawl all the way back up to give ourselves a chance to win the division, and then we end up just missing it at the end. But it was really bad. We got into like I said, bad start. Couldn't really recover from that. Had some good games and had some bad ones, but again, did not do enough to win the game. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're not used to not seeing the Ravens in the play. I mean, there was actually a handful of teams this year that we're just kind of used, like we just kind of pencil them in for the playoffs. Ravens being one, the Chiefs being another. It seems kind of like, oh man, like we have one bad year and we want to start like moving on from John Harbaugh, who I think was the second longest tenured, only behind Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, that's actually a good question, John. So, what do you think about the John Harbaugh dismissal?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's crazy how Harbaugh was with the team for 18 years.
Yeah.
I think I posted something. It was like when Harbaugh first took over, Barack Obama was in his first term.
I love doing this.
I think it was Flow Rider Low was the #1 song on Billboard. Wow. I mean,
That's hilarious.
It was right. It was the year when we had the recession. I mean, it's
the first iPhone came out.
Yeah, Joe Flacco was a rookie when he first came on board. Put that in perspective. Flacco was a rookie when Harbaugh took over because we let go of Brian Billick the year before, and so that was when that change happened, and people were head scratching at the time because it was like he was a special teams coordinator from the Eagles, and who hires a special teams coordinator to be the head coach? It's usually offensive, defensive coordinator. No one does.
He was a good one.
But yeah, exactly, and something happened where they just felt like he was the guy, and the rest is history. I mean, Harbaugh took us to the AFC Championship game his first year as a head coach, and we had those miraculous runs with Flacco, and then finally when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed in 2013, the Super Bowl year, and that was their last ride together, we won the Super Bowl. I was a sophomore at East Carolina when that happened, so hard to believe how much time flies. So it's just crazy to think, that he was our head coach for 18 years, and it was a miraculous 18 years. But sometimes it's time, and you just need a fresh voice. You just need a little change of scenery. I think with Harbaugh, he was kind of set in his ways, and you just needed a fresh voice. So especially with the late game collapses that we had in a few of our games. And you just hear rumblings about, players being upset with the staff, and you kind of feel like you lost the locker room a bit. It's time. And so when the season ended, I felt like they could move on from Harbaugh. It wouldn't surprise me either way, because it wouldn't surprise me if they moved on from him, because I felt like we needed something fresh with the team. But I also felt like we want to keep him because of his experience and proven track record too. You don't want to just replace someone just to replace them. You want to make sure you fill in with the right staff and the right coaching. So, but I leaned more towards it was time for a change. But
interesting. Thank
you, Harbaugh, for everything you did. You will be a Ravens Ring of Honor. Good chance you'll make the Hall of Fame as a coach. But I did support the decision of something different. And I think Lamar Jackson recently said that the new coaching staff has been kind of a breath of fresh air.
Wow.
And that's probably what has happened, is that they were just stuck in their ways. And you could kind of see it, like, the Ravens falling apart at the end in similar fashion in a few of those games. So
it's nice to hear a fan be grateful for what, a player or a coach did for you. It wasn't all bad, even though you didn't get any draft compensation for him. It's kind of nice to hear that.
How could I be ungrateful for Harbaugh? Playoff seasons,
I don't know.
Year after year after year. A Super Bowl victory, that's kind of nice.
A Super Bowl victory, that's not. That is nice. You can't take that away.
Hey, Tanner, I don't remember John Harbaugh going up on the press conference saying this is like football heaven up to the Giants. I don't.
Did you? No. Did you not hear him at his Giants press conference? He says, "Oh no, growing up, my dad used to tell me these aren't the New York. These are the New York Football Giants." Oh no. He was very. I think there's something to where I do think both John Harbaugh and the Ravens probably could use a new, breath of fresh air. And I don't think that necessarily means that there was bad blood or anything. But sometimes things get stale. And I think, when sure they haven't won an actual Super Bowl in a while. But sometimes you just need to make a change. I don't know, you make a couple NFC championship game runs in a row and you have one bad year and you fire Andy Reid. Sometimes you do need a change of scenery.
Well,
I think
I
think Andy Reid won 3 Super Bowls since. I think the Eagles have won 2 since. did anyone have any bad blood between the two when they parted ways? So like, I do believe in the whole. You know what? I think he's like maybe in the 60s. Like, not the like youngest guy in the world, but like he still has football ahead of him.
That's very
You
interesting.
feel like you're like, hey, I need a new challenge. I need something, some kind of change of scenery.
When he was talking about like the whole, it was time with the whole new voice thing, I kept thinking Andy Reid's ending in Philly. Andy Reid's ending in Philly, because that's all we heard was that the voice was getting stale. Locker rooms kind of not all there together anymore, and it just kind of run its course. And I appreciate what Andy Reid did in Philly. I don't recall him ever having any sort of Chiefs rugs in his house in Philadelphia when he left Philadelphia. Apparently, I guess John Harbaugh had some New York Giants rugs in his house, maybe, even though he was coaching the Ravens. But I guess it's okay from Tanner's eyes to have a Giants rug in their house because they're a Giants fan. It's all good. It's okay.
And I think the Andy Reid comparison is perfect. Yeah, he had great success in Philly. And then you just need a change of scenery. So you just need a change of scenery. He goes to Kansas City, has tremendous success. Does that take away from anything he did or didn't do in Philly? Of course not. It just was time. And I feel the same way with Harbaugh with the 18 years. It was just time. We just kind of rubber met the road. And you just kind of hit the wall and you got to make a turn. And so it was just time to move on from Harbaugh. I support the decision, but I will always be grateful for what he did for the Ravens. And I look forward to him being in the Ring of Honor at M&T Bank Stadium.
Well, hopefully he can win a lot of football games with the Giants, win a lot of division titles. We'll all be rooting for him.
I know you are, Tanner.
It is weird to see him in that New York blue. It's like,
oh, I know, right?
Like, wow. Like,
so
different.
Let's change gears. And I think the team that's probably most on the forefront of John's mind, if you're thinking of like quick rival, would it not be the Steelers?
Rivalry wise, yes. I mean, that's our arch rival. And
they also let go of a coach after a million years this offseason, which I find amazing. What have you noticed about the Steelers over the past 5 years? Do you think they've kind of run parallel, almost in the same idea of just needing a new voice? Because they've kind of had that like over 500 streak, but they've just barely hit it like every single year. So it's like, are they kind of in that same boat that the Ravens face, where it's just like a new voice was needed? What do you think about the Steelers?
Yeah, I felt like with the Ravens, they'd have like a really good year and then have like a down year and then kind of go back up again. Not like drastic, but they were more wavy than the Steelers. The Steelers were a constant like 9-8, 8-9, 10-7. Mm-hmm. They were a little more consistent. It was nice to see Tomlin leaving with Harbaugh. I feel it'd be really weird if one of them stayed and the other one didn't. It just, I was really glad to see them both leave at the same time, because it's the ultimate, like, that era has ended.
Yeah.
Because those years with Ray, Ed, Suggs, and then you had Ben Roethlisberger, you had early on Hines Ward, and you had Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Those teams were mirror images of each other. And a Pittsburgh-Baltimore game is always going to be a tough as nails game. It's funny. It's always a nationally televised game between Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It's low scoring. It's like everyone tunes into a 9-7, 16-13, 13-10 bloodbath. But that's what people love, because it's a gritty. I always said a Ravens-Steelers game comes down to who wins the trenches, dive right, dive left, and who has the ball at the very end, typically. That's how these Ravens-Steelers games typically go. Nothing but respect for the Steelers. I know they're our arch rivals, but they made us a better team, as much as I hate to admit that, because the road would either go through Pittsburgh or through Baltimore. Pittsburgh has ended our seasons numerous times. We've ended their seasons numerous times. So they don't like us. We don't like them, but that's just the way we like it. And so,
it's funny you say like it's always televised. I feel like I've seen every Ravens Steelers game, because you're right. It feels like in my head, I can like picture every single like. I feel like they're always in Pittsburgh though too, but I know they've played in Baltimore. But like all those Sunday night games,
they tend to teeter.
Yeah.
Sometimes like the Ravens will have the national game, and then sometimes it's Pittsburgh, but it's usually at least one per season where it's nationally televised.
And you can have respect for him. That's fine. I'll be a little disrespectful because they took my one Super Bowl from me. Santonio Holmes' foot was not on the ground. It was just one foot.
Well, I think everybody outside of Pittsburgh was rooting for Arizona, and I was
except Chris Collinsworth. He said we were the worst team to ever make a Super Bowl, and yet we almost won it.
Now here's the team that really shouldn't be here.
There was a funny meme on Chris Collins where they showed like this like hockey play going on like in the NHL, and then they commentate Collinsworth like that's what we see from Patrick Mahomes, you know.
Everything is a Patrick Mahomes highlight.
Everything is Patrick Mahomes with that guy.
Yeah, for the Steelers, I don't know, man. It's frustrating. I mean, I get it. I would love to have 19 straight winning seasons. Like we've had one in the last 10 years. So I can only imagine. I just feel like these last handful of, really since the Big Ben years, they've been so afraid to lose that they're just trying to like hit singles, just hit it in the middle of the fairway. They're just little quick fixes with the Russell Wilsons and, being, held hostage with Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know, man. You get Mike McCarthy. That seems like a win now move. Can you really picture them like tanking? That doesn't really seem to fit the timeline.
No.
But it's like, man, take a year off. Kind of get your cap. Like they're a pretty old team. They got some really good players, but they're on the older end.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe take a year off. Get your cap right. Maybe position yourself to get a quarterback early in next year's draft because that would be the draft to do it. Sure, you can get Tom Brady in the 6th round, but like I wouldn't hold your breath on it. If you actually go through each team and like look at what round their quarterback is drafted from. It was like 24 teams. It was like a crazy number. 24 teams have a first round quarterback. Not everyone has a Jalen Hurts in the 2nd or a Dak Prescott in the 4th. I mean, shoot, Lamar Jackson, he was the last pick of the first round. He wasn't even the Ravens' first pick. So like we could play that game. But I would rather play the odds and try to get my franchise guy. I just feel like they need to just punt on a year. And again, I'm a Cardinals fan. I'm used to losing. I have some sympathy though for like what good is going 10-7 every year? Like, what are we doing? And so I can have some sympathy for that. It just feels like they're playing scared.
Like they got lucky with TJ Watt. Like the fact that they fell into a generational pass rusher at like the back half of the first round.
That makes me so mad.
That never happened.
I remember that year. I'm like, he's literally JJ Watt's brother. Take the chance on the genes. Well, why is he going in the late first? Joe Schmo,
Nothing's
sure.
wrong here.
Right. It's like, what are we doing? He wasn't the same prospect as JJ Watt. JJ Watt was a freak. But, I mean, TJ Watt is one of the better players in the league. So,
oh yeah, he's a game wrecker. I fear the Steelers because I fear TJ Watt. That dude is a stud.
He's won games.
Yes, he's a game record, and I'm a believer. I'm not a big believer in first round quarterbacks because for a couple reasons. One, it's a 70-30 crapshoot, in my opinion. Yeah, you might get a Josh Allen, but you also might get a Josh Rosen. And even if you get the Josh Allen,
put that on a T-shirt.
Even if oh, sorry, Tanner. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Sorry about that, Tanner.
Okay.
And on top of that, and if you get the right guy, you got to build a team around him. And if you don't have the right pieces around, it doesn't matter. You've got these guys who are good, but they're in bad situations. And so yes, you need a quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league. I get that. but I just don't. To me, there's more safer bets in like your early rounds. I'm more of a get your corners, get your offensive linemen. I'm huge on O line. Like if you have O line issues, you're going to have issues with your offense. Period. It's like an absolute for me. And then you can find a decent quarterback to kind of patch up. And maybe that's just for me being a Ravens fan for so long, having successful seasons and not historically not really good quarterbacks until Flacco and Lamar came along. And so, the one year I always remember was 2006 when we had a banged up Steve McNair, and we went 13-3. We should have won the Super Bowl that year. Well, we just came up short. So, that's just my personal philosophy.
Breaking news: you want to trade Lamar?
No, I love Lamar. I think Lamar is a phenomenal talent. He does things that just make you wow. Like, I think with Lamar, my one critique watching him is he sometimes tries to play hero a lot. Like, he tries to go for the home run on every play. I wish he was more practical. And I know for a lot of people, it's hard to hear criticisms of Lamar because it's like, well, look at the play he made here. Look at the play he made there. And I'm looking at like, yeah, great, but there's a game to play. It's chess sometimes. You don't have to like go for the home run or for the 20-yard gain. And that's not all his fault. I mean, we didn't have a good O-line at all. He was running for his life at times, which is, I think, another reason why Harbaugh was let go, because we didn't make any changes, any drastic changes with the O-line. It was like, again, stuck in your ways and not changing anything. But sometimes there's times where Lamar would hold the ball for too long and like take off, or throw it away. And then, so sometimes Lamar has a tendency to play hero. There's times where he's fabulous, but again, sometimes he plays hero, and I wish he was just a little more practical when he's out there on the field. But a phenomenal talent. Actually, we traded with the Eagles for Lamar when that happened. In that,
I remember
the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I was actually getting ready to close my phone or my laptop, wherever I was watching the draft on. I was ready to go to bed.
Oh, that's crazy.
Baltimore never trades up. We never trade up.
Right.
We always trade back. We never trade up. We traded up with the Eagles. I was getting ready to close it, and I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. And it was Ozzie Newsome's last year, and he's like, let's go get Lamar Jackson. And so I actually think Lamar saved Harbaugh for the first time, because Harbaugh was in a contract year. We didn't make the playoffs for, I think, 3 years in a row after the Super Bowl season. And we were struggling with Flacco. We make the switch to Lamar, and then the rest is history. And then they completely changed the offense towards Lamar. And there's been some magical moments with him, and it's been a joy to watch him. He's phenomenal. So he needs to be a little more practical at times. And like you mentioned, the singles, you don't have to go for the home run every time. Get a single here, get a double here, and then that opens up your offensive game. So,
all right. So it's funny because, we talked about the first trade, the A.J. Brown trade, but shockingly, there was an even bigger trade that happened yesterday, and it does involve an AFC North rival. You mentioned earlier about T.J. Watt, and you said, like, I don't really fear the Steelers. I fear T.J. Watt. And it made me think of, well, there's another team that applied to when it was, when you're still on the team. And that was the Browns. Well, I don't really fear the Browns. I don't even know who on earth would. But I don't know a person who wouldn't fear Myles Garrett. The man's built like an action figure. And now he's playing for the Rams. So
yes, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, the compensation was Jared Verse, who was, I believe, the Defensive Rookie of the Year a couple years ago, and a first, a second, and a third on consecutive drafts. So, A, do we think that was fair compensation? And B, did Myles Garrett have a Rams rug in his house? I'm still waiting to find that out. No, I'm just kidding. So now that he's gone, do you think that was a good deal for the Browns? Do you think that was adequate trade compensation? And what's your assessment of what their future looks like? They're kind of the low life of the division, but I'm sure you have tabs on them. What do you think?
Well, I was listening to some praise music with Myles Garrett leaving the AFC North because he's been a nightmare for us for years. That dude is a stud.
It's weird. I didn't hear that. Now that he's in the NFC West, I didn't hear praise music.
For me, you hear I was praise music for me. Maybe not for the NFC West, but I really he's just a beast. Oh my gosh, he's gonna walk into Canton, and again, like we said, like I didn't fear Cleveland, but I feared Myles Garrett because he was also a game wrecker. And to be that good, it's sad that he was that good on a team that just couldn't get it together. So I'm very thrilled to thank God that he's no longer in the AFC North and I can breathe a bit. I think it's a trade that works out for both sides. The Rams are looking short term because they've signed. I think Shaffer signed a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not
1-year
mistaken.
extension, yeah.
1-year extension, and so they're thinking, hey, we got this small window. Let's get him out of Cleveland. And Cleveland's saying, well, we're not winning with him anyway. Let's retool and rebuild. You still get a good pass rusher, and you get some additional draft capital. I think it's a deal that works out both sides. It kind of is a little similar to when the Lions and the Rams traded when they swapped quarterbacks. You got a good quarterback in Goff, and Goff is loved here in Detroit, by the way. And his career has been resurrected in Detroit, and they've got the draft capital now. Detroit's a pretty good team around here. And then the Rams needed just a little bit more of a boost at quarterback at the time. Stafford was more proven, and so they won a Super Bowl, and Detroit has been much more consistent. So it was good. It was a good deal for both teams. I expect the same for Cleveland and Los Angeles. This will be good short term for the Rams, and I think it's going to be good long term for the Browns.
Not that I'm happy for the Rams, but I'm actually with you. I actually think this was a good deal for both teams. I think both teams should genuinely feel really good about what they are getting and then what they gave up. From the Browns' perspective, if you were just trading for Jared Verse, what would you have expected? A first and maybe something else?
Yeah,
so
who knows? I think
add that on top of the picks that they got. Let's just say they would have got a first and a third. So they got 2 firsts, a second, and 2 thirds. That seems like pretty fair compensation for a player who Myles Garrett is great, but I think he's at the age where he probably wasn't going to be on the next great Browns team.
Yeah.
So the timelines just didn't match.
Unless he played.
I totally agree. Kind of like with Joe Thomas for the Browns. Great offensive tackle, right, but they could never get going. And then you finally get a decent quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and then he retires. So,
I mean, maybe there's Browns fans who are like, the Eagles fans, and they hate Myles Garrett for life. But, they are getting something back in return. You can't take away the good years. I mean, he had, 23.5 sacks last year? Like, that was the record, I think, right? So
close to the record.
You can't take that away.
You were that good on a team that was that bad.
Right. It's not like you had a lot of.
That says a lot. Some players excel when they're in a good team, but when you're that good on a team that's that bad, that speaks even more volume. So, yeah, I think Garrett's going to love his new his life in California. I think the change of scenery will be good for him, and it helps the Browns too in the long run. So, because there's
my favorite thing about Myles Garrett is that how like NFL films, like they'll kind of like mic guys up and stuff. There was one where I saw it was the Browns versus the Packers, and then I think the tackle got beat pretty quickly by Myles Garrett, and you could hear the left tackle yell, "Jordan, run!" It's so cartoonish. Like I can't imagine in a professional setting where like we're playing real football, you're telling your quarterback to run.
Exactly.
Like that's amazing.
Nothing else matters. I mean, you don't have to hear anything else. Yeah, Garrett was a beast, just the right player on the wrong team, and I sleep a little bit better at night that he's no longer in our division. So. It's going to be good for both sides because with Cleveland too, they're stuck in that awful contract with Watson. And
yeah, one more year, I think.
I think this
Lucky
is the
for
last
them.
year. Yeah. That was, I knew that contract wasn't going to work out. I was right on that, but I was wrong with how bad it's been. I knew it'd be bad, but I didn't realize how awful it was going to be, because my red flag with Deshaun Watson is he literally sat a year with the Texans while under contract. He forced his way out of Houston. And I'm thinking like, well, we've seen team or players when they sit out a year for contract reasons, when they come back, they're not the same. Like Le'Veon Bell's a prime example of that. And then Cleveland's like, that's our guy. He sets a whole year. Let's sign him to the largest guaranteed contract in NFL history. And it's been a disaster. He's either been hurt, or of course the off-the-field allegations. Even when he's on the field, it hasn't worked out. It's been as awful of an outcome as you possibly can. And again, I thought my red flag was, why you sign him to this big deal? He sat out a year. That means everyone else in the NFL has gone a whole year of experience on you while you've been sitting on the couch twiddling your thumbs. But again, Cleveland's like, that's our guy. That's our savior. Let's sign him to a $230 gazillion contract, fully guaranteed. Just take it.
Seems like a good guy.
Just take it. Just take it. Just take it off.
Well, what's funny is like right before he was getting traded, there was a lot of talks. It was like the entire NFC South. It was like the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints. They were all in on him. And then what got the deal done was the fully guaranteed. That's the part where they really sold their soul, was we will fully guarantee this contract. And yes, Kirk Cousins had like a shorter term fully guaranteed deal. I mean, this was 5 years, which is what made it so unique. But given all the stuff that was, surrounding Deshaun Watson, he probably really valued that security. I mean, I don't recommend anybody turning down $230 million fully guaranteed to play football. Unless I'm missing something, that seems like a good deal for him.
I'm not blaming Watson. If you want to sign me to a $35 million contract, tell me where the dotted line is and I'll sign it. But the Browns,
he probably would have signed a similar deal, just not as much guaranteed.
No, I probably, but again, I don't blame Watson. I mean, I blame Cleveland. Like, what were you thinking? Yeah. Or at least sign him to a short-term deal. Like, hey, this guy hasn't played for a whole year. Let's see what happens. That way we're not locked into this. It was just, I knew it'd be bad. I didn't think it'd be this bad.
It wasn't just the contract. It was the 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
He has to be good if you're going to have success.
Again.
And not only has he not been good, he's been hurt a lot, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you've been hurt, you don't have any draft capital, and you're stuck in this contract. It's been abysmal for Cleveland. Again, Watson had very good years in Houston, but now you can't build around him, and he's always hurt. So it's just been a disaster for Cleveland. And so they've got one more year of this tragedy, and they can finally reset. That's probably why they got rid of Myles Garrett too, just to unload that, and then you can kind of rebuild again. And we'll have to see. That the biggest question, I mean, it's been the biggest question for Cleveland since the turn of the new millennial is who's going to be our quarterback. And so it could be Shadur Sanders. I think this is going to be the prove it year. If not, they're going to have, a lot of opportunities to go in a lot of different directions with the team. What's really sad is Cleveland's defense is actually really good. I mean, what to do with Myles Garrett, but offense was abysmal. And so it's just been, it's been really sad to see Cleveland this way. I mean, it helps Baltimore, but it's just been sad to see that devout fan base suffer for that long. And so,
So I guess to wrap up, we have one last team, and this was a team that also kind of got off to a really bad start, and they had their quarterback injured for, I believe, a good portion of the season. And as a Jamar Chase fantasy owner last year, I was pulling my hair out waiting for my guy, Joe Burrow, to come back because Jamar Chase was in the doldrums until Joe Flacco, the legend, came out of retirement and started slinging the rock for the Bengals, which I thought was awesome. But this is the Bengals, and they had a chance to come back and win the division, but ultimately, I think they kind of had a few missteps. But what do you think's going on with the Joe Burrow saga, John? Do you think there is ever a chance that the Bengals just throw their hands up and say, you know what, we're just going to get what we can for him and trade him? Do you think that's a possibility?
And please say yes.
No, I don't think because they know what they got in Burrow. They were a drive away from winning the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. So you got a Super Bowl quarterback there. If a guy takes you to the Super Bowl, you've got a Super Bowl quarterback. Period. End of story. The problem is not the quarterback. Obviously, that's the least of your problems. Every team, virtually every team, would love to have a quarterback like Joe Burrow. The problem is that they have an awful defense. And so I actually looked at the stats on the Bengals recently, and they're really good seasons when they made it to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game. They had an average defense. They didn't have a great defense. They didn't have an awful defense.
Average.
Just a middle of the road, hold your own defense. And then these few recent years where they've clearly have underperformed as a team, their defenses have been awful. And again, this goes back to my belief it's not just a quarterback. The quarterback is the most important position, but it's not the only position. You have to build a team. And when you have one side of the ball that's really good and the other side of the ball that's not very good, it's not complementary football. And that's why the Bengals have underperformed, because they have bad defenses, period. If you can just get an average defense, which of all the teams coming up this year, Cincinnati scares me the most, because they have improved their defense with Dexter Lawrence. They've added a few other pieces. I think Jonathan Allen, I believe, made it to the team. So you boosted your defensive line.
That was a smart move, adding him.
And
I totally agree.
Boye Mafe as well. Like, they got a complete rebuild on the defensive line.
So they can, if that defense can just be average, like if I'm a Cincinnati Bengal rallier, I would just rally the defense, like, just be average, like average on 3, 1, 2, 3, average. and you're going to have a good season. Just be average. Just don't suck. That's all you've got to do, because the defenses have sucked, and that's why the Bengals haven't made the postseason, because they got into bad. They started bad. They've relied too much on Joe Burrow, and I dig him out, then he gets hurt. Retool the O-line a bit. Again, the O-line just don't suck. Defense, just don't suck, and you're going to have a good season. When the O-line didn't suck and the defense didn't suck, they made it to the AFC Championship game, and they, again, were on the verge of winning a Super Bowl. So Cincinnati scares me the most out of any of the teams in the division. Pittsburgh is going to be, I think, middle of the road. They'll beat Pittsburgh. Just purgatory picks Pittsburgh. The two P's. Purgatory Pittsburgh. Cleveland will be Cleveland, but Cincinnati, if that defense comes together, I'm happy that we don't have to deal with Trey Hendrickson anymore. He's on our side, which is wonderful. That's a double whammy, by the way, because that's killing two birds with one stone. One, you beef up your pass rush for the Ravens, and you take away their guy in the division. So that's wonderful. But if the Bengals can just be average on defense, which I think there's nowhere to go but up. I think last year they were the second worst defense on average. Second worst defense in the entire league behind Washington. Just be average, and they're going to have a good season.
That's a good pod title. 1, 2, 3, be average.
Just be average. Just don't suck. And we'll see. But if that happens, which I think it will, again, there's nowhere to go but up for Cincinnati. Statistically, spiritually, morally, on that defense, there's nowhere to go but up, which they will. Cincy's going to be a pretty good team, in my opinion.
All right. Good. That's a good rundown.
I'm totally with you on that. I don't want to give away my bold prediction just yet, but yeah, I'm totally.
I got one in my head.
Well, don't take it.
I already took it. I already took your bold prediction. All right, should we just go for them? All right, I'm ready. All right. Let's do our bold predictions. Okay. My bold prediction is that the Steelers will have 5 or less wins this year. I think they're gonna bottom out. I think this is going to be their bottom out year. I think with Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, I'm just not loving it. I don't necessarily see a ton of talent on that offense or defense aside from TJ Watt. I think this will be the year where they bottom out and they start really thinking hard about what they want to do with TJ Watt and if they want to pull a Myles Garrett and try to get what they can for him. That's my bold prediction.
I think that's bold because I probably have them in the 8 to 10 win range, like just kind of where they always are.
There's always going to be a team that just bottoms out, and I think that's
no. I mean, it's not crazy. But what's also what makes it bold is I probably don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could see it, but I wouldn't, bet on it. So,
what about you? What's your bold prediction?
My bold prediction is that I think we could see the Bengals in the AFC title game. So I really like what they did in this offseason. A lot of weirdness with the Trey Hendrickson saga the last couple of years. Like that's just, as a Cardinals fan who was looking for an edge support and hoping maybe he could be available, and he just never did. That was annoying. They did make a lot of moves on I mean, I'm down with the 1-2-3 average motto. Like, seriously, they really don't have to be above average. Like you said, they were an average defense and made it to the Super Bowl. What's that say about your offense? Like,
exactly.
I'm sorry, am I missing something? Did we lose a bunch of guys on offense? I expect this to be a high-powered offense. Dexter Lawrence, I mean, maybe he didn't come off his best year, but I still think there's a little something there. Jonathan Allen's probably he's a floor raiser. Again, he's a little bit older, but he's gonna raise the floor. Boye Mafe was he where did he come from? Didn't he have a pretty solid season? Let's see. But not a bad replacement for Trey Hendrickson. So I don't know. I think there was some good upgrades from the Bengals this year. If we can keep Joe Burrow healthy, and that's a big if, to be fair. I mean, stuff like turf toe, that's actually what held him out for most of the year. That is kind of fluky. Didn't he have that crazy wrist surgery a couple years ago? I don't know if that makes him injury prone or not, but some of the stuff does feel a little fluky. If he could stay healthy, I don't know. I could see them contending to be the AFC rep in the Super Bowl.
All right, cool. I could see that. I thought a feeling you were high on the Bengals for a little bit. I was like, what's he gonna say? All right, John, do you have a bold prediction to wrap us up?
Bold prediction. I'm going to say there will not. I don't know if this is considered bold or not, but there will not be a team in the AFC or the playoff picture. There won't be 3 teams from one division.
Okay, so it's going to be pretty leveled out.
I think it's going to be pretty leveled out.
Okay.
Does that mean you're going to pick 2 from this division?
Sure, why not?
Well, then which 2 now? Got to write you down.
I think at the moment, Baltimore. I love what we did with Jesse Minter with the hire. I wanted a defensive-minded coordinator. I think he's going to be great. Our defense was not good at all last year, particularly on the passing side of things. It just wasn't clicking. And this goes back to show you, we've got Lamar Jackson. We had a pretty good offense. Just the defense wasn't what I was used to. I'm used to, for my years growing up, it was the other way around. It was amazing defenses. You actually look forward to watching the defense because how amazing they were. And offense were just kind of, now it's kind of switched in Baltimore where our offense is amazing or has been really clicking with Lamar and Derrick Henry and company. And the defense needs to pick it up a bit. So having that defensive coordinator will be good for Baltimore. I think that Baltimore will make the playoffs, but I really am worried about my heart. Will always say Baltimore is going to be in it, but my head says I'm worried about Cincinnati. I've been to Cincinnati. It's an awesome city, very underrated. We actually got to go to the Ravens-Bengals game a couple years ago when it was like that shootout in overtime that we won.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So Cincinnati's only like a 4-hour drive from where I live at, and pretty cool city. You wouldn't think that. You think Cincinnati's just Cincinnati, but
did you have their chili? Cincinnati chili?
No, I don't think I did. There were some awesome restaurants. We did the Cincinnati Zoo, which was amazing. And then where the stadium was right by the water, and it was a cool experience. We enjoyed our Cincinnati trip, but I worry about Cincinnati this year. My heart will be Baltimore is more the safer bet, but I'm worried about what's going on in Southern Ohio with the Bengals.
Well,
I think we're in line with that.
Well, it's gonna be a fun division to track this year. I'm really excited for putting down these over under for the win totals and seeing where the bet wages are gonna line up for the odds. Because we're trying to do like a bet pod towards the end of the off season and kind of keep up with it each week. And I'm really interested by doing these divisional breakdowns. It's like, wait a second, how do I want to pull this with the Bengals? You know, I'm starting to think you guys are giving me ideas. I like it. John, just want to give you a big thank you for hopping on today, man. I mean, I really think you brought it. You did a great job. I mean, you answered all the questions in line, didn't skip a thought, went straight in and didn't give any hesitation. So that was awesome how you were able to hop on and do this for us. I hope you had fun. I mean, we had a blast.
Hey, I'm just striving to be average. I'm that's the message today, is to be average.
That's our pod, man. Well, hey, we're going to look to have you on in the future. I mean, we'd love to have you on during the season for sure. I mean, we're always trying to bring people on to have good chats with. I mean, it's been really exciting to bringing these people from the different divisions. Tanner, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I mean, I wasn't surprised. I thought he was going to be awesome. He was awesome. So yeah. I'm not as surprised as you were.
I wasn't surprised at all. I'm just giving him props. My God. All right. My goodness. John, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, but just want to say thank you guys so much for having me. This was an absolute blast, and I would love to come back on if you guys choose to. And I just have had a blast talking with you guys. It's been great catching up with you both.
All right.
You definitely will have an invite.
Yeah, you always have an invite to hop on whenever, man. It was awesome. So we're wrapping up the AFC North review right now. Next week, I'm not sure exactly what division we're going to tackle. It depends on our guest of the week. But again, guys, as always, make sure you check out those short form videos. We really did a good job getting those short forms up to around 700 to 1,000 views on a couple of our videos last week for our AFC East. We had a couple people even argue with some of our correspondents. Our guy Neil kind of had a bit of a tussle with some people on a YouTube comment about what he said about the Bills. I believe the comments were, these guys are getting dumber and dumber every week or something to that effect. So
no. This guy. It was just Neil.
Hey, you know what? If we can bring in the conversation, hey, if they're talking, they care. All right, so I want you guys to keep looking at those TikToks. Argue with us, call us idiots. We don't care. As long as you're listening to us and think about what we're saying, that's all we really care about. We want to bring this family as much as we can to the community, and subscribing, liking all those videos, commenting really goes a long way. So thanks everyone who's been listening to those, everyone who's been listening to us. And I just want to say thanks again for listening to Birds Coast to Coast.
Wait, there's only one way. There's only one way to end this podcast.
How do we
average on 3?
1, 2, 3.
Average.
Love it. All right, later, guys.